So we're live on YouTube now.
Okay, so is that a delayed response, or is it live or at the same time?
We are live now.
Okay, well then we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the Monday, May 4th meeting of the Stark County Commissioners, and Brian is in Commissioner Cavender is in the annex building in the Commissioner meeting room, where the meeting was advertised to be both a Zoom meeting and at the annex building. So we do have public hearing tonight. So I guess we might as well move right on to that. And so it would be Argento LLC regarding the vacation of Sam Pierre original lots 140, 149, and 148. And I believe this was advertised as a public hearing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So is Mr. DeCola present?
Yes, yes.
Is there a way maybe Brian could move down a little and he could sit in where Rachel normally sits so we can?
You can put them on the end if you want.
We put Tom
that
down
way
there.
we can see Mr. DeCola.
Yeah, I'm the principal of Argento LLC. It's an Indiana limited liability company. And I filed a petition more than a month ago requesting a hearing in order to obtain a vacation ordinance that can be recorded with the clerk and the recorder. So I submitted the petition and it's requesting lots 140, 149, 148 to be vacated, which would include Clay Street and the contiguous alleyways surrounding those lots.
Is there anybody that's protesting this or anything?
I am. I never got any kind of notice because I own the property like right in front of one of the lots.
Brian, could whoever is speaking, could you ask them to state their name for the record?
Sure. Do I need to speak in the speaker?
They should be able to hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't hear very good, so if you could have whoever get, we want social distancing, of course.
Yeah, I know.
You can sit
Sorry.
Just for the record, I want to say that
Okay, well, it's not gonna go that far. Yeah, my name's Darlene Stacy, and I live at the property I've owned 14 years. Nobody notified me of this meeting. I was just by chance lucky enough to find out about this hearing today. I own a property, like I say, an acre of land, right in front of those properties. I'm 7255 South US Highway 421. And originally when I bought the property, I bought it because it has the woods. It was nice and quiet and it has, you know, privacy behind it. And I don't want to see anybody build a house right behind me. I really don't. I bought it because, like I say, to me, it's kind of city a little bit, but yet it's country too.
Is your property
can I-
contiguous?
Can I interrupt? And I want to get some opening stuff done here so we make sure we all get this off on the right foot. Is that okay?
Sure, yeah.
The first thing I wanted to ask, Rachel, you had a list of parties that are under paragraph 2 of Mr. DeCola's petition who are adjacent or that he found to be interested parties. Is that right?
Yes,
You serve them by certified, right?
yes,
Did you get green cards back from all of them?
not from all of them. I got 3 green cards back.
Okay, who'd you get?
I got Howard, Gwendolyn, Colleen and Gwendolyn Howard, and Lloyd and Donna Robin, and United Telephone Company of Indiana.
You didn't get Frida Reisner?
No,
What did you get? Did you get anything back from the post office on that?
no, I didn't get a returned mail either. I do have proof showing I mailed them out from the post office, but I did not receive a green card back yet on.
And And Darlene's here tonight. Darlene Stacy, she just spoke. And
Yeah,
Ms. Stacy, you live at 9501 West 950 North, apartment B7, is that right?
No, I live in the house, 7255 South US Highway 421. I am the property right in front of the property that I just noticed the sign for sale with Report Real Estate.
Okay, so you didn't get this apparently because it wasn't addressed. Do we know where was that address from, that 9501 West?
Yeah, I used to live at 9501 West 750 North,
I
but
got
I
it.
haven't lived there in a year.
Right. So your forwarding order would have expired by now. Okay.
And I do still get some transferred mail. I don't want to interrupt you, but I still get transferred mail from
That's
that.
fine. I just want to clarify that. And I wanted to say a couple things about just as background on this petition, just so everybody understands how it works. There's kind of two different, you have to bear with me for a minute because this is a little bit confusing, maybe right offhand. There's a statute that provides the appropriate basis for a remonstrance. Okay, that's for another party. For example, Ms. Stacy is a remonstrator. And under that, this is the statute 367313, and a remonstrance has to relate to that the vacation would hinder the growth or orderly development of the unit or neighborhood in which it is located or to which it is contiguous. 2, the vacation would make access to the lands of the aggrieved person by means of public way difficult or inconvenient. 3, the vacation would hinder the public's access to a church, school, or other public building or place. Or 4, that the vacation would hinder the use of a public way by the neighborhood in which it is located or to which it is contiguous. Okay, now that's for remonstrators, but then I want to clarify that for the Board of Commissioners, this decision is purely discretionary because you are the trustee of that property and you can grant the vacation if you want to, but you can also have a policy that you don't grant vacations that aren't clearly in the benefit of the public. There's a case on that, and I want to cite that case for the record. Vranikar versus Board of Commissioners of Brown County, 730 Northeast 2nd, 752 Indiana at 2000. And the point of that is that you have sort of two different things going on here. We have first the basis upon which a remonstrator can object, but secondly, the Board of Commissioners doesn't have to grant this. It could just find that it doesn't want to. It's purely discretionary. Thank you.
Okay, so that's all your comments, Marty?
That summarizes. Does everybody understand all that? I mean, do the commissioners that are here, do you have any questions about that, Brian or Kathy?
No, I
It's
don't.
a little confusing in a way, but the main point being that under the law, remonstrators are kind of limited in what they can object to, but the commissioners are under no duty to find in the petitioner's favor. In fact, there's not even a right to appeal it if you rule against them.
Okay. So, ma'am, so I understand your objection to the commissioners vacating this property or granting this vacation is because you don't want a house built there. Do I understand that correctly?
Well, yeah, but I don't know what your definition of a vacation is. Sounds like you want to, like put all the land together, all the lots, and take away the alleyways and put a house there. If, I assume that's the intention of that.
Well, the house isn't really part of the petition, but you're right about the rest. It does take away those alleys and those street right-of-ways and incorporates them into the adjacent parcels.
Yeah, see, that's why I originally bought that house, because it's, it's like private and secluded and quiet and woods back there and wildlife.
Oh, and that is your only objection, let me restate, and you tell me if I'm restating what your objection correctly. for the record. You don't want the alleyways, you don't want it joined into one big piece of property.
Right,
You don't want a house built there.
right.
And would I be correct in, so that I restated your concerns correctly? Is that right? Or do you
Yes.
have any other concerns?
No, just like it's quiet and, there's no noise and stuff this way. And like I say, the wildlife and peace and quiet, yeah.
Now, Marty, would I be correct in assuming, since these are platted lots, that they are buildable lots individually?
I don't actually know that, because they may not be, because it may, they're not, a single lot is not always buildable. I don't know what the issue, what the standard is there right now.
Okay,
If I
That would
can
be a
say
zone, that's a
something-
zoning board question. And it does kind of, this is interesting because this is close to a zoning issue, but actually the statute puts this authority under the commissioner since it's in an unincorporated area.
okay. Okay, I don't have any other questions,
Can-
ma'am. If you.
Can I add
Commissioner
something?
Kavanaugh might have, yes, you can.
Yeah, the buildable lots, I think for, well, I don't know that county, but other counties, you're supposed to have a certain width. And, it's gotta be so wide before you can put a property on. I'm talking about Lake County. I'm not talking about, like Stark County. So I don't know for sure, but you talk about might not be buildable lots. Yeah, they might not be anyway.
Okay. Do you have, Commissioner Kavanaugh, do you have any questions?
Well, mainly, I don't think our rules here are like 100-foot wide lot. Can't remember, there's gotta be a depth to them too, and actually, I'd like to be able to see these and make sure I know exactly what we're talking about, and it might be an item that maybe we want to table till we get a chance to eat that. I'd like to look at them, actually.
Okay, ma'am, we don't have any other questions for you.
Thank you.
if-
Thank you for your
if you're-
time.
Is there anybody else there, Brian, that would like to speak?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that the vacation, it wouldn't hinder the growth. And people are not using the public access ways right now. It's all overgrown with vegetation and woods. So it meets all the standards and the requirements for vacation.
How would it, I thought I heard Marty say something about it should be beneficial to the public. How would, if we were to grant this, how would this benefit the public?
I mean, you're gonna have town growth. There could be a buildable lot. I mean, don't they have a septic issue in St. Pierre with the lot sizes?
Well, there are septic issues. Yes, I don't know. I thought you might know since you're asking for the vacation, but
Yeah, I mean, I'd feel more comfortable building a house and putting a septic tank in there with a combined lots than to have the smaller lots. It's easier to do planning after vacation.
do you have anything else you'd like to say, Mr. DeCola?
No, I don't.
Brian, do you have any, Commissioner Kavanaugh, do you have any questions for Mr. DeCola?
So you're thinking about maybe taking all 3 lots and maybe building a house on them.
Yeah.
That way it'd be big enough.
Is there anything else, Brian?
Not at the present time. Still like to
Well,
look at it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Charlie's not here to comment.
He's here
either.
now.
I just got on.
Okay. Well, Charlie, there's one objection. Mr. DeCola appeared. He says that this will benefit the public by making it a buildable lot and promoting growth in San Pierre. And there is an objection to it. To this. based on, she didn't want to see a house built there and she doesn't want to see those alleyways joined together, to make one big piece of property. So those are her objections. And Commissioner Cavender would like to actually go see them. So since you're back now, I don't know if you have any particular questions or not, but I was just about to suggest that we recess this issue till our next meeting to give Brian and perhaps you or myself, if we wanted to go take a look at those personally and individually till the next meeting. I mean, which I think we could certainly do that. And as Marty pointed out, it's completely arbitrary on our part whether or not we approve this or not. But of course, I remember this from other requests as well. And
Discretionary,
So-
discretionary, actually, yeah.
Oh,
And just for the record, in my opinion, you can do a site visit. You can't do any, all you can do is look at it. Because this proceeding is subject to the open door law. It's allowed to go do a site
well,
visit. I'm sorry?
I'm not necessarily proposing that all three of us go
Okay.
together to take a look at it.
Right.
I'm saying if Brian wants to look at it, he should drive down there, and if Charlie wants to, he can, and if I want to, I can. But to tell you the truth, I'm not going to. So, but I feel like if there's a commissioner that would like to see it, then they should have the right to be able to see it before they make a decision. So that's my thought on the matter. So I would propose that we recess the matter till the next meeting, pending, any commissioners that want to take a look at that or do any more research or something before we make a decision.
Yeah, I definitely want to take a look at it, see what I'm even dealing with, so.
Well then, since you're back, Charlie, and you can take over the meeting, I'll make a motion that we postpone a decision till the next meeting and to allow anybody that wants to go take a look at that, go take a look at that.
I'll
I
second
want
that.
to, I want to add one thing to the record before, and that's that the petition is dated April 9th, 2020. Thank you.
Is that,
There was a second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda, the highway. Rick?
Okay, I have a US 30 thing to talk about, and afterwards I want to talk a little bit about MVH funding and our loss of funding, if that's okay, just real short.
Yep. Mhm.
The US 30 committee met last week. They discussed that NDOT has not shown much enthusiasm for the US 30 enhancement and has no current plans to develop the project. The committee voted to hire a consultant to lobby the governor. His political support is seen as the only way the project will go forward. The mayors of Warsaw and Columbia City, who are the president and treasurer of the committee, would like to schedule a meeting with the board, our board of commissioners, to explain why they think it's important for Stark County to be involved. My question to you tonight is, would you as a board be receptive to such a meeting?
well, I'd be open to hearing what they have to say, but if they're only going to come to start, I think the big rub here was a couple of the other counties never participated or paid anything at all.
That's correct.
So I'm open to hearing what they have to say. I don't know about the other two. They can have 10 or 15 minutes on our agenda, I guess. But right now, my personal thought is why spend more money on it when that's my thought. But yeah, I'm willing to hear them. I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I don't want to spend any more money on it right now, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with hearing them, see what they have to say, but I don't want to, take forever hearing, you know what I mean?
Right, you're right. And I'll let them know, and maybe they can schedule a short thing on your agenda.
Under the regular agenda, we usually give people 10 minutes.
You
Right.
know?
Okay, we'll let them know that.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, the next is the MVH funding. Last week, the auditor and I attended an LTAP webinar that outlined the expected loss of the gas tax revenue over the next few months. We're looking at about a 40% drop in our MVH draw from May to July. Instead of the expected $265,000 a month we normally receive, we'll probably be receiving about $159,000 each month. This equates to about a $318,000 loss in expected funding. That's about 10% of our annual budget. We may lose more than that depending on the price of gas and how quickly the motorists return to the roadways. The good news is we should be able to absorb this loss by relying on the recycled millings we received last year from the US 35 resurfacing project. We originally planned to use that material to expand our paving program. Now we're going to use that recycled material to replace the paving miles we'll lose from the loss of funds. As a result, if all goes well, we should be able to maintain our planned level of paving miles and production throughout the year. We will save about $250,000 by exclusively using that recycled material. We only use about half the oil to create that. We've already saved about $50,000 in fuel costs, equipment repair, and material use during the shutdown. This gets us close to balancing out what we expect to lose from that. The LTAP webinar also emphasized that by using our asset management program, we can further mitigate the expected loss of revenue. They were saying that like some counties don't have the program, we've already had it in place for years, so we've already worked on that. If the budget shortfall continues through next year, we think we should be able to handle it without a significant loss of production thanks to the additional millings we're going to receive from INDOT's upcoming State Road 8 resurfacing. So as long as we don't lose more than 25% of our budget, we think we can handle it without a loss in production by using our asset management and those millings. In the past 7 years, we haven't had to ask the county for any additional funds outside our budget. And as long as it doesn't go over 25%, we expect that independence to continue. So we have a plan for it. Unless it's catastrophic, we think we can handle it.
Sounds good.
All right. And the 50 South paving begins next week. They'll be doing 50 South from State Road 39 to the Knox city limits. And the bid opening for the 250 North and the Range Road projects will be at your next meeting. So we're going full steam for that. So all looks good. That's it.
That'll be good.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Yep.
Thanks, Rick.
The clerk, IT director on the agreement for state provided antivirus software.
No, go ahead and do it.
Hi, everyone. Did commissioners get to look over the emails that I sent everybody?
Yes, I saw him.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to stress that Richard did some research for me. And if we go with Sophos, I believe I'm saying that properly. I may not. If I'm not, I apologize. To go with what we had 3 years ago, it would be $13,590. Now, to combine apples with apples, Richard had them quote him a price for what we would be getting for FireEye, which again is through the Secretary of State's website or through the Secretary of State. It's funded for at least 3 years, will cost us nothing. But if we went with Sophos with the same thing that we're getting from FireEye, we would be paying $19,830.90. Our current subscription with Sophos or I don't know how to pronounce that, expires on June 3rd. So we either, and no matter what you choose to do, to stay with what we have and pay this money, or just go and use FireEye, I still have to have FireEye in the clerk's office and for the election office. I don't have a choice. It was with a Senate bill. I believe it was 1380 that put it into play that is mandatory. Every clerk's office has to have some form of FireEye. So I guess it's in your lap what you choose to do. Every county in the state is on FireEye of some form. Some are going fully with FireEye as their protection, and some are only using it to, Richard, what's the better word for it? I want to say if it's in the background, if you choose to keep your own.
if you choose to keep your own software,
That's
they're
it.
they would run their software in line with our software, and there's a lot of network disadvantages to that too, because you're trying to filter through two different applications, and performance is horrible for the clients.
Yes, it slows it down.
Yeah.
So the question is, do we continue with Sophos or whatever the name of that is, the one we're
Right.
currently paying for and would have to continue to pay for and have the free FireEye, or just the free FireEye? And that
Right.
they do the same things, right?
Yes.
Well, that certainly seems like a no-brainer to me.
I believe if I understood Richard earlier, sorry, I didn't mean to butt in, but if I understood Richard earlier, what we paid for 3 years ago was just a little over $6,000. And the quote this year is over double. So, I'm assuming it will keep going up as well, but,
Yeah, their licensing have changed dramatically over the past 3 years, and I think this is a perfect time to take advantage of what the state's offering. But that's just my feelings on it. So.
And I would assume that terminating the current one, there would be no issues or problems or financial penalties, or you
No.
just say,
We paid 3 years ago. We paid for a 3-year subscription. Our subscription is up as of June 4th. So,
and that's just so long, goodbye. Click.
yep, that's
turn off,
gonna be right in line with getting this, me and Stefan getting everything going and getting endpoints set up and everything. So.
Okay.
we only have 160.
We only have what?
That I was just making mental notes. I forgot I wasn't muted. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Well, Charlie, if you want a motion, I'd be happy to make a motion to terminate the current service on the termination date and go with FireEye for free.
Yeah, I second that.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bernadette.
It's gonna make my life a lot easier.
Now, can I ask Bernadette, it's not, I know it, maybe we should wait to the end, but are you all prepared for the election on June 2nd? You have everything you need and
Do I have everything I need? The answer is no. I'm going to need mask. I'm going to need cleanser. I'm going to need sanitizer. But the Secretary of State is supposed to be supplying a large majority of that. I don't have the figures in front of me, but I believe she is going to be supplying me like with 6,000 masks.
who's going to
13
be
gallons of sanitizer.
Who's going to provide you with all that?
Secretary of State.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Sorry.
She's supplying all the counties. It's not just us. She's supplying all the counties. But there's going to be not only bottles of hand sanitizers, but gallons so we can refill the bottles that we get. Same with the disinfectant to spray on the cloth. Not like the Lysol air stuff, but the cleaning stuff like Lysol, the squirt bottle that you would spray on your counter to wipe off. She's going to be supplying us with bottles of that as well as gallons to refill the bottles. I received an email asking about masks, not masks, face shields. I believe we will be, if they can get them for all the counties, I believe we will be supplied with some type of face shield, whether it's like a stand, a plexiglass to keep the clerks and the voters with that plexiglass in between, or if it's a face shield that, like a helmet that you wear that has a face shield that comes down over your face. I've seen emails about both, so I'm waiting for more information. I got a few emails on it last week, but I haven't got anything on it today. I'm hoping that will come through. I know she's promised every county some, so I think we will be okay that way.
Rick, didn't you say you had extra at the highway garage as far as like sanitation?
We have some
sanitizer?
supplies, yes, we have some.
It might be able to help out a little bit with that.
We'll help out as much as we can, yep.
All right.
Thank you, Rick.
Anytime.
You have sufficient staff for the polls?
I believe so.
Okay, cool. Are
We've
you
been,
feeding them? Are you feeding them? That's what I want to know.
yes, we are feeding them.
Okay, all right, good, okay. That's
We,
all I want.
We have had a record number of mail ballots, of course. I went in the office, as all of you know, the clerk's office is working in 2 different shifts. And today was not supposed to be my day, but I had to go in anyway because of the fact that we received so many mail ballots and application requests. We had over 60 applications, or no, it's 60 applications for a ballot that had to go out today. And we had 30 applications for, or 30 requests for applications. And we had 30 some ballots returned. So it's been a very busy time in the election office right now, but we're handling it. We're taking it in stride, and hopefully on June 2nd, we can look back and say it was a very successful election year.
Okay. Appreciate all the effort you and the election board have put into this, so.
Thank you. We're trying.
Thanks, Bernadette. Richard, you're up next with quotes and stuff for the server upgrades and
Yes,
security cameras.
yes.
I'll jump in here. I've spent quite a bit of time today going through the quotes from Vermillion in particular. And I had a lot of questions about them because they're pretty technical, number one, and there's 4 or 5 different pages. And when I started adding everything up from each of the different areas, it was like almost $94,000. So even with the discounts. So I called the guy that gave the quote.
That is, Kathy, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Where you're getting that 94,000, that is if we were to replace the existing cameras. With Vermillion, we are able to utilize the existing cameras. So if you take the one quote out for 55,000, they added the 55,000 quote if we wanted to replace the cameras. And I am voting we do not replace the cameras because they can still be utilized with the new system.
Well, I appreciate that, but to be clear, you don't get to vote.
No, I didn't mean it that way. But.
Anyway, after a lengthy discussion with him, and I asked him if he would come to the courthouse on Friday to take a look at what we had, and we'll back up a little bit because I don't think the press realizes this because I haven't had a chance to announce it yet. But we are moving forward with the courthouse renovations. It's been advertised. The contractors are coming on Friday the 8th for a walkthrough at 1:30. And at the same time, I've tried to coordinate the schedule with the Veterans Memorial Project, which is a separate project and separate architect as well. And to have some of the same contractors take a look at ours for donation purposes. And to make a long story short, I've got the guy coming from Vermillion as well to take a look at it, to talk to the 2 architects and make a determination of exactly, he said he quoted what he was requested to quote. And I'm not sure we need all this stuff. And he said, I said, we don't have $93,000. And even if we took off 55,000, I'm not sure we have that much money. So he's going to come, you know, what I wanted and what I put in an email was, you know, the minimum necessary to make this work. And this is everything. This is the Cadillac. So he will come and take a look at that, talk to the contractors, take a look at the systems that we currently got, and he'll revise his quote. So I'd like to table it until the next meeting when he has had a chance to come in and take a look at that.
That's fine.
So that was your motion then?
Yes, sir, that's my motion on the Vermillion systems, the security
second that.
camera systems.
Brian second, and all those in favor?
I-
Um, Richard, did you have anything on the server upgrades then?
Yeah, this, so I emailed you guys a letter from the consultant that you guys hired. And that was proposing that during this server upgrade project, due to the fact that Exchange will be expired in come October, it'll be out of support. They were proposing to also hopefully do the Exchange upgrade at the same time.
So repeat that again, Richard. This is in a supplement to another project that,
No, this was part of the several quotes that you guys got last year that the consultant had broken up. And he had the separate quotes. He had the one for the storage array, the one for the servers that we currently have, and then the other one for Exchange for emails. Like I said, with this project going on right now with the server upgrades, he's wanting to propose that we also do the Exchange at the same time. Because we're going to need to do it in October regardless.
okay. And the Exchange is for 200, they're basically the licenses for 200 computers, correct?
200 email boxes.
Email boxes. Do we have 200 email boxes?
Roughly with the phone system, yes.
Okay. Well, I do think I remember that report that they gave us. I mean, I can't quote it verbatim, word for word, but I think we did realize that we had to do this. Otherwise, our computers might not work, period. And as I recall, the price improved, or they were able to give us a better price when we looked at it with their assistance, if I recall correctly. So that would be for the software portion of it. It would be a total of $18,350.49. And that includes the Exchange. And the service portion of that would be $9,600, correct, Richard?
Well, there's the server license. Let me see here. Yes, correct. Sorry, I'm looking that back over now.
Okay, so the total for that would be roughly almost $28,000.
Correct.
Well, I think we have to do it. I don't really think that there's any option for us not to do it.
Right.
So I guess I would make the motion to approve that with the money coming from CUMCAP. We have sufficient funds in CUMCAP to pay for that. Unless Rachel have a clever idea where else we could get that.
Nope, Rachel does not.
I didn't think so. Okay.
Second that,
I will
Brian?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, guys.
Now we got to move on to the claims. Was there a motion to approve those?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve the payroll claims?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And then, gonna approve the minutes from 4/20/20. Is there a motion to approve those?
Yeah, so moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye. Now we have to talk a little bit about the response to Governor Holcomb's, how we can safely open back up.
Brian, you want to talk a little bit about your meeting that you had the
Yeah.
other day to?
That COVID-19 task force
yeah.
meeting, we Judge Hall's gonna have kind of a, probably one of the toughest ones. Because they're kind of, it's what is it, kind of, I think it's the Supreme Court or somebody, they lead that. And there's no way they could have a jury trial before the first part of June. Because you're gonna have to keep these people apart, and so he's gonna have one of the toughest ones. The rest of it, everybody, all the heads of this, our offices and stuff, they're pretty much, Rick, he's ready, he's really done a very good job, and Frank Lynch, he's done a great job. I think we are on a very good track here, and soon we're going to have another meeting tomorrow. After this, I wanted to talk to the rest of the commissioners first, but I would think soon that we should be able to get people to be able to come back in, maybe make them wear a face mask or whatever to get in the building to do some business. Because I've been hearing from different people who are they need to get in. Well, that's pretty much my thoughts.
Well, I'll chime in about the governor's address, and I had downloaded his information, and he's opening it up in stages by with 4 key principles in mind, which I think we might, if we just follow along with that model, I don't think we can get hurt too bad. Basically, and I thought it was a very well thought out plan, and with some good indicators to continue that opening, and if necessary to even pull back and hunker down a little bit more. But basically, what I got out of that plan is I believe next week they've got some things are opening up today. But obviously, I don't think that we're ready for it this week. I think we need to start bringing our employees back first, and make sure that they've got work they've got to get caught up on. I think we need to keep the building closed to the public for a week or two to make sure they've got the shields in place, like Brian's talking about, and the face masks, and we've got the policies and procedures for that. So I'm thinking if we bring our employees back next week on Monday, or if you want to stage them in, bring in half of them on Monday the 11th and the other half on the 18th or whatever, that would probably be fine. And after Memorial Day, I would say certainly all of our employees ought to be back to work. We should have all the things that they need to work in terms of masks, hand sanitizer, et cetera, et cetera. And then after, because I believe the state's not opening up their governmental offices to the public until like June 14th or something like that. And I'm okay with waiting to let the public come in. With things seem to be going all right, with the exception of at the recorder's office. I think there have been a couple of realtors that have wanted to come in, and we have not been able to allow them in yet. But other than that, I mean, Kay reports to me that the taxes are being paid. People are putting them in the Dropbox and the other avenues that she's provided for them. I do hear a little bit of concern about building permits, but again, you got to keep in mind that Terry is a high-risk employee. So we want to be careful with him. We want to be careful with all of our employees. We want to make sure that we keep our employees safe. And that's the main thing right now, while still being able to provide the needed and necessary services to the public. Sometimes those don't go hand in hand real well, but that's my thought. Follow the governor's plan. Bring in the employees starting next week, because they're going to need to make arrangements too on Monday. And then maybe open the building back up to the public after Memorial Day, which is earlier than the state. But that gives us time to make sure that we've got, the sneeze guards, the or by appointment at that point, and then maybe open up to the public just like the state on June 14th or whatever. I mean, what do you guys, and that gives Brian and his group, time to identify what their needs are, what their policies are going to be. And I think we need to probably have a couple of ordinance written to go along with that.
Yeah, I think starting next week, I'd say the employees, at least half could come back next week, and then the following week, the rest, and depending on where they're at in, what department they're in. So I'd feel all right with what you said, Kathy, on this.
I think the governor further, the governor further recommends that those that can work at home should continue to work at home. And to my knowledge, we've only had one employee that would like to continue working at home, and I'm not even sure we've got jurisdiction over them, to be honest with you. That'd be the WIC department they were asking about, one of the employees. I mean, we approved their payroll and everything, but I think they've got their own, I think it's just a relationship kind of thing that we have with them. I don't think we're, they don't report to us. We don't, it's just a contractual thing we have to do their payroll or something.
Marty, do the commissioners need to formally make a motion keeping the reduction of staff for this week? And then if you guys do want to bring back the staff in stages, you're definitely going to have to spell out who comes back, who doesn't, because you're going to have to spell that out.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know if I want to go through that. I mean, how do I know who needs to come back? And who
Yeah,
doesn't
that's.
come back, and
I was thinking the same thing. I wasn't sure exactly who would have to, so.
yeah. Maybe we just have them all come back, and
I would say that would be, I mean, that in my opinion, that would be better than trying to, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, you're probably right about that.
But Marty,
So,
do they
and the
need to,
judge,
go ahead.
Well, I think they
the
could do that.
judge,
I'm sorry.
yeah, whose yellow box gets to talk first? I think the judge and probably the sheriff too, because the sheriff's got a captive audience there. No, not really a pun intended there, but I think if, the judge is going to have to set his own rules for the court. And the sheriff needs to set his rules in terms of allowing the public to come in or not, which they really don't get to come in anyway and visit with the inmates. They do it by video visitation, but I think it's up to the sheriff to set those rules. That'd be my thought on the matter. Rick's kind of got his plan. He's already written his plan and it submitted it to us. I thought it was a great plan.
Yeah.
And that leaves the annex basically, and the EMS and so that would be my thought. We bring our employees back on the 18th. We spend this week, Brian, Brian and the committee to make sure that we have the PPE that they need by Brian's committee can determine that. And if we're going to require them to wear face masks, then, for example, then we have to provide them face masks. So I would say it would be the recommendation, whatever that committee comes up with in that regard should, is probably what we should do.
You want to bring the employees back on the 18th or next week?
11th.
Okay, does that include your high-risk employees too?
No, I'm glad you brought that up because the governor suggested that high-risk people stay at home until the 24th. So I would say the high-risk people should be on call.
Until the 24th?
Of the 24th, which means they would come back after, because after that, the governor says the high-risk people, which frankly, I get to fall in the high-risk category, would come back to, or could go venture out then on the 24th. So I think if we followed that, I think that would be fine. But they'd have to be on call.
I think following the governor's, what the governor is doing with, I think it makes sense to kind of look at what the governor is doing with state employees is a good model. Because I think there's maybe, the trouble is some of their decisions otherwise are not saying that you should do something. They're saying you can do something. So I think what they're doing with their own employees are more what they think they should be doing rather than, not arguing with, counties that maybe want to, or maybe a county where there's nothing much happening or whatever. So, that's just something to think about. And they're like Kathy said, they're quite a bit out before they're really going to open their buildings, or they're planning to open the buildings to the public. And I think that's probably because the statistics show that, we're just looking at it still going up, and a lot of the models are showing that it's going, there's going to be, it doesn't mean that we all can stop working. And that's the thing. We got to keep getting stuff done, but it's not like it's over. It's only going to probably be a little higher rate. So not having the public come in, there's a reason that the state did that. And I don't think that necessarily means you can't make appointments and that sort of thing, but just to try to reduce the exposure of the public coming in as much as possible, because I've just seen these incidents where just like a single person infected a whole bunch of people, and you don't want to staff like that. That's not, even if everybody was fine, that would be, just terrible for productivity too.
Yes. Well, I think if we bring our employees back then on the 11th and allow appointments by appointments after Memorial Day, that will give our employees 2 weeks, to start making up the backlog of work, number one, and because there's going to be a backlog here. And number two, identify the, what they would need to allow the public in. And we could probably go at Memorial Day by appointment. And then open like the state is, I think it's June 14th, I believe. I don't have the paper right in front of me, but
something like that. It might have been the 18th or the 14th. It was somewhere right in that range.
Like that.
And, the thing is, you can always accelerate if we're all fortunate and things go better than you can accelerate they come back too, So you're I think you're trying to hit a middle point there of what you see what I'm saying. It's all open to adjustment anyway, because, we don't know what's going to happen exactly.
So as of right now, if I understand you correctly, the Board of Commissioners would like to keep reduced staff this week, have employees come back May 11th, except for the high-risk employees who will not be coming back until May 24th. We will open back up to the public.
But they should be on call.
On call, right. They'll still be on call. And then after Memorial Day, we will be taking appointments and revisiting when we're actually going to open to the public.
Right.
Yes, I think that'd be a good plan.
Yeah,
I think so. What do you guys think?
I
Is that
think
your
that's,
motion?
You guys okay with that?
yeah, I'm fine
What?
with that. Is that your
Okay, then
motion on it?
I'll make that as a yes, I'll make that as a motion.
Brian, you second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Now, when the employees do come back on Monday, is this something that Brian's gonna talk about in the task force meeting tomorrow, whether or not you're gonna require them to wear face masks, or is that like voluntary if they wanna wear face masks?
I think I kind of like the task force to discuss that. I mean, they say when you're wearing a face mask, they claim, which, I mean, in some ways, well, I guess it makes sense, but that you're protecting others from your germs. So, I mean, as part of this, the employees coming back, they should, every day, they should certify, I do not have a temperature, I'm not sick. You know, if I feel sick, I'll go home, or, you know, whatever those guidelines are. And I've seen them written in a couple places, and I think Frank Lynch has some of those. So that should go along with it. And yeah, I think they should wear masks. I mean, and I think we should provide them those masks, obviously. What do you guys think? And if we come in for regular meetings, like say, for instance, our next meeting would be on the 18th. Are we going to have it a public meeting? And when we have those public meetings, are the commissioners going to wear face masks? I've got face masks. They're made out of cute little frozen material. So I have the little girl and the little snowman guy and everything on my face mask. So you guys I could bring you some of those if you guys want to wear them.
I would love to see Brian wearing a frozen face mask.
I was thinking Charlie.
Hey, I got some
I
just
mean,
plain
what-
reading ones.
Just remember, I mean, if we, you know, it's, you have to kind of look at, you know, my undergraduate degree is in nursing, so I have a tendency to look at it from a very scientific standpoint. And I think face masks for the employees are a good idea. I realize that there are a lot of folks out there that would tar and feather and drag them through the streets by a herd of horses if a politician that thinks that they ought to wear face masks in public. But, you know, that's the only way to reduce the possibilities of the transmission. We don't want our employees to get sick. I mean, that's the, you know, that's the deal. So I personally, I'd be in favor of it. But if we make that thing, then when we show up for the meetings, we better not be like Mike Pence and say, oh, well, I'm the vice president, I've got to wear a mask.
No.
Well, that's the truth. I mean, what's good for the goose, good for the gander. I've got masks. Do you guys
That's
have
one
masks?
of the things, that's one of the things about opening it up to the public too, to be honest with you, because I mean, with your employees, you can say, and you got, I think, you know, Kathy's right. We, you know, all of us that are on the team, as it were, has to go by all those same rules, but it's going to be hard with the public. You know, some will work with you on that and some probably won't. And so, I mean, realistically, I think that's probably one of the reasons the state is being a little slower on that, because they don't really, they're not sure that they'll get the cooperation from the public that would be, you know, really ideal in this situation.
Well, he didn't talk a lot about what the state employees were going to do, Marty. Because I kind of wondered, is the governor going to make the state employees wear a mask? I mean, I feel a lot more comfortable saying, yeah, you guys should wear masks if he's doing it for his employees. But I have trouble, you know, number one, I have trouble breathing in them. Most people don't like them. I don't want to force somebody to wear a mask that doesn't want to wear a mask. On the other hand, I want them to stay at least 6 or 8 feet away from me too. So if they don't want to wear a mask. So I'm really kind of torn here. And you know, should, from a scientific standpoint, I think we should require them. But from a practical standpoint and a don't tread on me kind of standpoint, you know, I think maybe we might want to just strongly recommend. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. It's a dilemma. I will tell you that.
Yeah, I don't want to make the
For the
employees.
employees
feel-
themselves, well, go ahead, Charlie, if you want to.
Go ahead, Brian.
For the employees themselves, you know, I mean, they, I think the social distancing and stuff, could you imagine wearing that mask all day long? You know, I mean.
No.
If you
Those
were-
cloth.
You know, most of the girls, the guys in the offices, they're separated far enough where they,
Yeah.
it's common sense. Don't, you know, if you got a sneeze or something, you know, make sure you get it in, you know, but get your arm up there and get it where it belongs.
Well, that's
Protect people. you know?
that's the other thing. If you have those cloth masks, if you don't have those N95 masks, which we don't have and we're not going to get, we couldn't get them if we wanted them. When you wear those cloth masks, they're, whatever degree of effectiveness they might have is pretty limited because you're breathing through there, and that moisture then makes that cloth wet. And that, so your effectiveness at blocking anything goes down exponentially when that happens. So I can't imagine wearing that 8 hours.
I think if they feel comfortable at wearing a mask, I think they should really do it, you know, so.
Yeah, I'd say leave that up to the, you know, they're not supposed to be here if they're sick or anything. I'd leave that up to the employee if they want to wear a mask or not. Like you said, Kathy, that mask is mainly to protect the other people, not really to protect them, the ones that are wearing it.
Yes. So I would say that unless the committee feels strongly about it, the commissioner's preference would be that it be strongly recommended for the employees to wear it and leave it go at that. Some of them will wear it, some of them probably won't. But we also, and that's another thing that Brian's committee, you know, we've got to have, for example, you can't pack them all up, you know, they come back to work, first thing they're going to want to do is, you know, talk about what they did on their break, and they're going to get into the break room and, you know, overwhelm it. You know, there's got to be social distancing, you know, only so many people in the break room at a time, or they have to stagger and take turns, and that's going to be up to the department heads, the police too. So, you know, and again, the point is that not to be tough or hard or anything like that, but the point is to protect our employees and to the best that we can.
Right.
So is that addressing enough questions for you, Rachel?
Yeah, thank you.
And from the lawyer standpoint, Marty, I mean, is that sufficient, do you think, for the commissioners to?
Well, I think it's a good plan. I mean, I don't think anybody knows and I think, I will say this, I think that, you know, Stark County has been, you know, very careful about this. I'm sure we're, you know, I'm not saying we've done everything right, but it's really been an effort to do it right. And I think that, you know, that's about all we can do because we're really in unknown territory. Like the decision about the masks, for example, I think I will take a look a little bit more at exactly what the state is going to do. And maybe I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't like this. If you're working in an office with like 3 or 4 people, then you don't need to wear it. But when you start going around the building, maybe you go to another office and have a question, maybe you put it on just for that, because then it wouldn't be so intolerable and you'd be less likely to spread it. You know, one person would be less likely to spread it all around the building. And also when you do start bringing the public in, then that's going to be more important too, because, you know, these things, the whole key to the science of it is trying to get that transmission rate down from 2 to, you know, below 1, and then it'll keep, you know, slow down the spread. So, you know, there's no perfect solution, but I think it's a good plan. And I think we should look more. One of the things about following the state's example, there's really two things. One is they got the fancy experts and we don't. And the second one is that if we do that, you're not being negligent. I mean, assuming that you look at what the state do and they have a well thought out plan, by basically adapting that to our situation here, which may be a little different. I think that there's some legal protection there because you're exercising due care. There's no perfect answer to this.
Right, okay. Okay, well, okay, good.
We don't have to make a motion on that or nothing, right?
Well, yeah, probably to bring employees back. So to restate it, I'll make it as a motion to restate it. The employees will return on the 11th, except for the high-risk employees. The high-risk employees will return after, but the building will return to work after Memorial Day. The building will remain closed to the public until after Memorial Day, at which time it'll be open to appointment only. And that's the motion. And Brian's committee will determine the necessary PPE, and Marty will research. What did you say you were going to research, Marty?
Just look at the details of the state's policies regarding mask use and similar things. But that mask use in particular, that's really, it's right. Nobody likes the idea of working in a mask all day. That could be really rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the motion then.
Oops, the only one you got that I think was wrong there, Kathy. You said the high risk people were coming back after Memorial Day. We discussed it would be May 24th.
Well, May 24th is Sunday, and then Monday, the 25th is Memorial Day. We're closed anyway, so that's why I said after. But I mean, I could say 24th, but I'll say 24th.
That'll work. That'll work.
That's
I'll
only
second
reason.
that motion.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next up is the broadband discussion.
Boy, I tell you that it's really tougher than I would have thought. Basically, what they want us to do to close out this grant is to come up with a policy or an ordinance, which they provide a draft ordinance, and to, if there are any broadband proposals by outside contractors in the future. And they want that policy or ordinance to specify a single point of contact for all matters relating to a project, which would be the broadband project. And it's almost a function, in my mind, as almost exactly the way the Plan Commission might function on certain permits. But I don't think that that's what they want you to do. And they want it to be, but anyway, they established a procedure to allow any forms, applications, and documents to be filed submitted by electronic means. But I don't think we have that capability right now necessarily. So we'd have to establish a procedure for that. And I'm assuming should help us with that once we write the ordinance, that we would commit to a review and an approval process that takes no more than 10 business days after an application is filed or submitted, and identify a fee structure for the permit. So, I mean, I'm happy to do all those things in order to close this out. And I guess they're going to give us $20,000 when we do that. So it kind of expedites the interest in getting it done and closed out.
No.
When there's a little money on the table there. But did you see the model ordinance that they had, Marty?
I have, actually, I looked at that a long time ago. This isn't really that difficult. I think we just had other fish to fry more than anything. So I was just about to put it on my list of things to do. I need to get that ready for the next meeting because I don't think there's anything that difficult about it. We just got to do it. It's mostly almost, it's all stock stuff. It's all been done, right?
Yes. All you got to do is just dot the i's, cross the t's, and fill in the blanks. So basically. But one thing I do want to say is when I am reading the plan, I don't think they've got their data right. I don't know where they get this data about everybody in Stark County's got at least 10 megabyte upload of DSL.
No.
It ain't true.
Uh-uh.
Here in the Red Brush where I live, I've got CenturyLink and the maximum I get is 6. And when I don't get it and I call them and complain, they say, well, by law, we only got to give you 60%. So I think if those things were changed to be more reflective of what's real, and with the kids being at home and trying to do this homeschooling thing, it's been exacerbated. And so I don't know exactly where they got that data. They stated where they got it from, but it ain't right.
Right.
It's never as good as they say, you know.
So what are we supposed to do? Just say, I mean, because in my mind, here's an opportunity for us. If it was truthful, I don't mean, when I say truthful, I don't mean to say that the people that participate on this committee lied. They didn't. I think they got their data from established sources who probably say, oh gosh, we're the greatest broadband company and we can get you speeds up to 25 and somehow, you know what I'm saying? That's where they got their data, and it is not correct. But if it was correct, we would fit into a category where we might be able to get some grants. And it looks like KVREMC is trying to work on something that they're for this year to be done for next year and then the year beyond that.
I don't know if they ever really go to some places and test the actual performance or if they just go by what the performance is rated at according to the service provider. That's kind of what was my impression. It probably isn't quite up to what, and particularly when there's some traffic on it. I think I use CenturyLink a lot, and I wouldn't say it was all that fast. I'm using a different one here, but.
Why, it's terrible. While we're sitting here, I'm getting messages across my screen that my connection is unstable. So we can do that. I mean, we can do that ordinance, but I'm a little reluctant to agree to an ordinance and close out a study and a project saying that we have adequate, so therefore internet, so therefore we don't we're not eligible for anything, when we might be able to be eligible for something and maybe down the road do something that would not only help us economically, but I have a feeling these kids doing homeschooling is going to be more and more of a thing, in the future. And plus I'd like to watch Netflix at night. The Outer Banks is getting really exciting. So what do you think, Marty? Do we just go along?
Well, I think probably one of the things is, I mean, have we ever actually said to them that we don't feel that the performance is necessarily as good as that? I mean, I don't think that you'd be the first person to ever observe that sometimes, ISPs don't provide, service at the rate that, that it says on your bill. Mm-hmm. That happens a lot.
Well, why don't I invite that Katie to, is our next meeting going to be a Zoom meeting? Probably, if we're still got the courthouse closed, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
First of all, second, can we do it in the morning? These evening Zoom meetings aren't very easy for me, but going out to a meeting is a lot easier than, I don't know if you've noticed kids running back and forth and.
Yeah, I prefer right away in the morning too, so.
Yeah. But can we invite that Kate to our next meeting and have her and Sean Kane, if we could send them a Zoom invitation and we could address those concerns. I mean, sure, I'd like to have that $20,000 that you get when you finish the grant, but I'd like it to be correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it is.
Yeah, this one was an evening meeting, I think mainly because we had the hearing on Mr. Cola's petition and that required that we, that kind of required that we do it at this time, but I don't think it's a problem to move it. I mean,
The
it's
count-
fine with, I like it earlier myself.
The council is still gonna have their joint session with you, May 18th at 5:30.
Okay. All right, that's fine, whatever. I don't want to, maybe I'll be at their joint session at 5:30 in the evening, and maybe I won't if we've got a 9 o'clock meeting, so.
Yeah, you guys can still have your commissioners meeting in the morning if you want. If you want it May 18th at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
That's, I'd rather.
Me too.
And would you like me to invite Sean and that Katie Clark?
Yeah, and let me know and I can send them a Zoom invite for it.
Okay, good. All right, and then Marty, you might as well get our ordinance ready, and I guess.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Next up, we got the meal service discussion.
Well, Rachel, I thought you might tell us about that first week in the meal delivery business. Wow, what a response. I mean, I'm shocked,
Yeah, it's been an adventure. So there's been some days where we can only have the form open for 17 minutes. Some days it's been a couple hours because after 75 requests, so 75 households is a lot to deliver to with the amount of delivery people that we have that are volunteers. So we usually try to shut it off at about 75 households. Now with the 75 households, that doesn't mean 75 meals. Each household is allowed up to 3 meals, or 3 hot meals, depending on how many are in their household. So we could have 180 hot meals going out for the day. So in the morning, sometimes we'll get 50 requests within the first 5 minutes. The form is opened at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we say we're going to shut it down the form's supposed to be open from 8 to 2, but we have so many requests that we could usually never leave it open for longer than an hour.
My office starts taking phone calls at 8 a.m. and the last 4 days before 9 we're done. And then from 9 until like 11, not so much at the beginning, but now farther in this program we're getting, if they don't get in, the people are getting very agitated and very upset and taking it out on my employees.
We have, I would say about 80% of our requests are repeat, so that it's the same people getting hot meals every day. They're about 79% of all the requests that we receive are senior citizens. So we are serving the senior citizens the most.
And I'm very happy for that. That's the target area that I was really hoping to get to, is the seniors. And I know in my out deliveries, I have been to a few houses I wasn't real impressed with, but I was okay with it.
Commissioner Cavender delivered last week, and he's also going to be delivering 3 days this week. So he knows what it's like to deliver. The only thing that I'm concerned about is when all the employees do come back. Right now we have the departments that are handling deliveries. Like tomorrow is the community corrections, it's the sheriff's department, our EMA director. I don't know how that's going to work out once everybody comes back to work and they get their own full workload, if they're still going to be able to have time to do these deliveries.
I think it's important to note that a couple of things here. First off, the program is being funded through the generous, and I want to say very generous support of the Stark County Community Foundation, Northern Indiana Community Foundation. As well, I believe they funded it to the tune of $100,000. And I could be wrong about that exact amount. In addition, we are getting $75,000 from Oprah, which was part of the stimulus money where communities could apply for up to $250,000, which we did apply for the $250,000. But we only got 75, which is certainly better than nothing. So that gives us about $175,000 roughly to run a program that isn't going to last very long at that rate. And I'm not sure the effects of this virus will be alleviated before we run out of money. I'm glad that it's the seniors getting the most of the hot meals. I fall into the high risk category. I would qualify certainly for the meals, but I can afford to pay for my meals. So I'm wondering if there's some that, you know, could maybe make a little donation or something to help float the program longer for those that really need it, number one. Number two, it also highlights to me, we used to have the Meals on Wheels here. And there's obviously a need for it, And I don't understand why we don't have that program anymore. I don't know if it's funding from the federal government or what it was. But thirdly, we are going to run into problems with the delivery. And I guess I have to voice my disappointment that community services with their vans that and the fact we give them money every year have not been able to provide us more support for these meals, which is something that they used to do when there was Meals on Wheels. So I understood from some of the granting agencies that there would be a meeting to talk about how to try to make sure that this program is administered as best it could possibly be for as long as it possibly could be with the amount of money that's available. And I guess they'll have to do that. But it is an overwhelming need here, I believe, and an overwhelming response that we have gotten. And Rachel and Bernadette and a couple of our department heads here have really, really gone out of their way to tack onto their regular duties and administer this. So thank you to you guys that have done that.
Yeah, so my office distributes the hot bags, and actually Country Roads and Coons Lake, they deliver the hot meals to my office. So the delivery drivers, I guess I call them now, don't have to go to Coons Lake, get their meals. They actually can pick them up in my office. And when the delivery drivers come back, I say delivery drivers, but it's usually the, you know, clerk's office or the sheriff's department or the community corrections or, you know, Commissioner Kavanagh, but that's what I call them now, delivery drivers. When they come back, we'll ask them, you know, well, how'd your day go? And really, they have an overwhelming response of thankfulness from the community, from the senior citizens, from these people who are getting the hot meals. And I did receive a couple donations that I do have for the community foundation.
Well, I'd be interested to hear what the group, what their thoughts are on trying to prolong it and meeting the most needs possible. We certainly want to convey our gratitude to those folks that are making sure this gets done. And what a need. What a need here in Stark County. So,
Yeah. Big thing.
And
What-
it's, I just want to say, it's not only the residents that are grateful that the commissioners have put this in place, it's the restaurants as well. They are, yeah, they're very grateful too.
well, and it's, that was the plan to help, that was to help the local restaurants, I mean, I think some of them are going to go out and have to end up going out of business, but we wanted to support them. Which is a big part of our economy here. And I think we were able to kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. And wow, we got some really good people. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
We're lucky.
Can I bring something up about future funding?
Yeah. Go ahead, Jackie.
Something that Okra brought up when they were discussing this initial COVID response program was that this was like short-term funding and that they plan to have some kind of long-term funding available at some point. They didn't give dates or anything. So I don't know if, since we're taking such good record of how successful this program has been and that there is a need, maybe when those funds are available, they'll be able to apply for some additional money to keep it going. But and then just wanted to say that I've also heard a couple of people who have just commented on posts about it, saying that they'd be willing to pay a fee, as long as they know how to do it or who they're paying. So it's not that, there might be some people right now who could afford to pay for it, but they're just taking advantage of the free service just because they don't know where they can pay. So
I think the biggest thing is the contribution to Stark County Community Foundation. Again, I mean, they weren't, I think they only started up in the mid 90s, mid to late 90s, something like that. So the kind of financial support that they have pumped into our community wasn't there just a few years ago. And it is here because people have chosen to give their money to the community foundation and made them an important part of our community. So I guess I cannot stress enough the role that the Stark County Community Foundation plays here and how important it is. If you can afford to donate to them, by all means, give them some funds to, this was a huge amount of money that they pumped in here to help feed the really poor and the needy here. So that would be, if you're going to print something, Jackie, that's what you ought to print. Stark County Community Foundation, they're a hometown hero.
Oh yeah. Well, I already turned in my stuff for this week, but I will next week. But I did mention that they applied for that $100,000 and they got it and gave it to the county. So
well, yep. If there's a form to fill out, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'll fill out a form. I'll nominate them for a hometown hero. But I mean, they don't get enough credit. They have the, I don't know, I could go on and on, but I guess I've gone on enough. So I'll fill out the form.
I agree. And yeah, I'll get a hold of you so we can set that up for sure.
Okay.
Is that all there's to discuss on that matter? Next up, the noise, kind of looking at a noise ordinance for the North Judson area. I know Kathy had a couple calls on this.
Yeah.
And I've kind of known about it here and there. I've heard about it. I think it would be a residential area and they have a dirt bike track and the neighbors are complaining about it. Which it is a loud noise. I mean, it's right next door to another house or several. I don't know if there's something on the zoning side of it that could be used, or being that it's residential. I don't know if they're getting any money from this, so I don't know if that would affect anything or how that would work. So.
Well, to be clear, it was one of the police officers that was at the scene called me twice in the same day. And I think I did mention this. I thought we had something on the books, but so I talked to Marty about it, and what we had related to barking dogs only. So I think we need to decide if we want to expand our ordinances for disturbing the peace. I mean, that's what they used to call it in the old days. They'd arrest people for disturbing the peace, but I guess they don't do that anymore. Or maybe I just thought they did. Maybe I was a teenager and thought if we didn't behave ourselves, we'd get arrested for disturbing the peace. I don't know, but
Well, I think Charlie said something. I've been thinking about this since then, and I think he's onto something about the zoning. I mean, you know, that might be a currently available, because, you know, if you're going to have like a track, you know, those are like, you know, that's a pretty severe usage. I mean, even ones that are like commercial, typically they need to be, you know, they're always controversial because they're loud. They're very loud. But I do think he may be onto something, that there would be currently some zoning actions here, because that property is almost certainly not zoned for that. Even if it's, I'm not sure if even in ag zoning allows like a track. I think that probably requires a special permit no matter where you are, actually. So that there may be some room for that. That doesn't mean you can't do a noise ordinance too. What happened was it got to be complicated, and probably if you're going to do it, probably have to, I don't know if it would be that expensive, but you would need to equip the police with like a, you know, with a decimal device to calculate the decibels, so they would have some objective evidence that it really was loud and it wasn't just that, you know, they were picking on somebody.
Right. I just think the zoning side of it would affect more, but.
Yeah, I agree with you, Charlie. You're probably right about that now that I think about it. So should we ask the plan commission take a look at that to see? We need to ask somebody to do something. So is it the plan commission, or do we ask, what do we do here? Who do you want to ask?
Well, I'd recommend you start out by taking it, by you know, bring it to the attention of the plan commission and see if they are able and willing to do something about it. Because that doesn't mean you shouldn't do an ordinance, but maybe that's in this case, you know, that's not always going to maybe work. But I think in the case of a essentially a racetrack situation, that I think your zoning ordinance is probably going to cover this.
You want to talk to him, Charlie?
Sure. Yep, that's fine. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go from there. So
Okay, great.
hopefully by the next meeting, then we can discuss it more then. So
Okay, great. Good job.
does anyone else have anything for us?
So,
Well, I do.
Oh, go ahead.
Me first, Miss Rachel. Relating to that zoning ordinance and everything, and I don't mean to drop it on you, Marty, but the property in Coos Lake, we were talking about that, and we took it to court last year, and then it didn't serve it properly or whatever, and we were just getting ready to take a look at that when this virus thing came up, and nobody was in the office anyway. But
there's not much happening in court either. There's very little activity, but we are going to, I think that about the middle of this month, they're going to start having some activity again. So yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. I need to get that on the list too and try to get that moving again. I don't know, I guess the status is just the same mess that it was before, right?
Yes, because we never got it cleaned up.
No, I mean,
So-
yeah, they didn't. Yeah, okay.
Yes, and
Yeah,
that's-
I need to find out what the problem is. I'm not even exactly sure what the problem with the service is, to be honest with you. So I'll look into that.
With the service. You
Yes,
mean
the service.
Yeah. So that's what we kind of talked about, is that you were going to check to see what the problem was.
Yeah,
Because here's the
that's right.
thing, this has been going on for at least a year now,
Yeah.
where the guy's dumping garbage there in a residential area and calling it a business and going through his stuff. We've had the police out there. We've sent, took a dumpster out there and with a police escort, was going to clean the place up, and then he got a lawyer. And to make a long story short, when somebody that looks like my grandmother takes my hand and says, please, please do so, you know, I mean, that's the worst part about being a commissioner, when they shouldn't have to live like that. And it is going on a year, number one. And number two, this is my very last year as their commissioner after 12 years, and I've been able to help them with most of their problems up in that neck of the woods. And they're getting ready for their annual meeting in the middle of June, which they always invite me to. And I do not want to have to go to my very last annual meeting with the KLA and say, gosh, I know it's been a year, we've been working on this problem, but I don't know what the status is, and I don't think we can do anything. And it might be enough, you know, I want it resolved. Those people deserve it. If I had to live next door to somebody like that, I swear I'd probably just have to go crazy on them or something. But please, that's our responsibility. We have got to, you know, that's why government exists, to do things for people that can't do for themselves. They can't go over there and clean it up for them because he won't let it. They can't go over there and shoot them because they go to jail for that. I mean, you know, there's no way for them to resolve this issue without us resolving it for them.
Yeah, that's something.
I'd like to go out on I'd like to go out on one good note with them, so.
Well,
But I'm not done, Charlie. I got more stuff too.
okay, go ahead.
Okay, okay. I do want to state in my communications with John Kirk and the judge, et cetera, we are going forward with, now that the thing is lifted, with bidding out the third floor project. And so they are going to have a walkthrough on the 8th. It's been advertised. There's a walkthrough on the 8th. I believe the bids are going to close on the 27th, I think, of May, which is a Wednesday. We are probably have to have a special meeting to accept those bids. And then we will award them our first meeting in June. So for those people that are on here that are in the courthouse, we are going to have some work going on in there, and we'll have to have regular meetings to coordinate that and get that going. Number two, now that the governor is lifting the Veterans Memorial Plaza has been a little bit in limbo, just simply waiting to see what's going to happen with reopening Indiana. So it turns out that you can have gatherings of 100 or more, and the high-risk group, which most of our veterans fall into, are free to go out and about with masks the 24th, which is the day before Memorial Day. So we will have a groundbreaking on Memorial Day, and it appears it's going to be at 4 o'clock unless one of my committee members needs to get it changed to a different time this week. But right now it's 4 o'clock. We do have gold painted shovels that we've gotten and have ready for this. We do have some cakes ordered from Finger Hut, and Finger Hut gave us a very nice price on those cakes as a contribution towards this project. And we have to pay some, but we have been getting some contributions from various people, and I expect to be able to have more information about donations coming forward in the near future that will be particularly noteworthy, but I can't really comment on them right now. But we will have a little ceremony on the courthouse lawn on the 24th. I talked to Marty about a proclamation, and he'll write one, and hopefully, Charlie, you'll be able to come as the president and read it.
Okay.
And it will become part of the archives that we'll maintain for this project. And my committee's meeting this week. I sent out an email to them last night with some updates, and it's coming. There's a lot happening right now, so and a lot going on, and in both the courthouse renovations and the memorial project. So we're going to try to tie those together and make sure that one project doesn't affect the other, since they're two separate projects. And that I just wanted to give that update. So I will give a more a broader update to the park board next week. And then at our next meeting on the 1st, I will basically reiterate, because I'll give them a little more information than I've given you to this point, and try to get it going. But the park board's excited, the committee's excited. I talked to Jeff Berg at fairly great length this morning. He said, "Can you feel me pacing through the phone, Kathy? I'm just walking up and down here. I'm so excited." So I said, "I can feel it, Jeff. I feel it." So we're excited. And that's all I have to say. Yeah.
Okay.
But I want to make sure that the commissioners are able to come
Mhm.
to that. Brian's on the committee anyway, but as our president, we're hoping you, as part of the presentation ceremonies, that you can read off our proclamation and that'd be part of the festivities, Charlie.
Right. No, I'll definitely be there. So,
Okay, good. Masks, we got to wear masks.
Can I ask you
yep.
a question on the bricks?
Yeah. Again, go ahead.
Kathy, can I ask a question on the bricks? If you buy a brick and you want to donate it, like I want to donate one for my dad, what is the proper way that you would put it on there? Would you just put his name?
Can you get a little closer microphone? I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
I want to buy a brick for my dad, and I'm not sure just how I want to letter it. I want to put his name, but I put U.S. Army, private.
You can put whatever you want on your brick. This is what I did. I bought one for my dad, and this is what my dad said, because you got the, Brian can give you the form. If not, I'll bring you one
I've
myself.
got the form. I have the form.
Okay, on the first line, I put my father's name, which is Shirley Simpkins. The second line, I put World War II, or U.S. Navy, World War II. And on the third line, I put Pacific Theater, because that's where he was at. And then some of the others, basically that's however, whatever you want to put yours in, whatever you want it worded, you could word it that way. That's
Like
how I did
on like on the smaller bricks, they had 3 lines, and I didn't know exactly how you do it. And that's more or less how you're saying you did your dad.
That's how I did my dad's. And next time I see you, because we're going to collect those brick forms right through July. I'm thinking right around the fair, because Brian and I will probably have a booth along, and I hope our other committee members help us to sell bricks at the fair. And we're selling them now, but that will probably be the cutoff if you want to make sure that your brick is.
Yeah, I was going to have mine ready now. As far as,
Veterans Day.
yeah, I was going to get mine ready now, and give it to them, so they have it. But
I'll help you with that, Carol.
Okay. That'd be fine.
Okay, next time I see you, just bring the form, or I hate to stop by your house since we're supposed to be socially distancing and you and I are in the high risk category. But
Yeah. Okay, I'll get with you.
We'll get together.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Was there anything else?
Yeah.
No, that's
Attorney Bedrock was in here. He wanted to know, with as far as the employees coming back to work and by appointments after Memorial Day, how does that go for contracted? So he's, the surveyor and the planning commissioner's attorney, is he allowed to come in the building, or does he need to wait till after Memorial Day?
Who is he a contract employee for?
He's the attorney for the surveyor and the planning commission.
Well, I would. I would think you would need to wait until like the rest of them, but now I'm glad you brought up contract employees, because we do have contract employees in the assessor's office.
Correct.
So those employees, I would think, he's not really a contract employee. He's Marty Bedrock isn't. He's an attorney for those two boards. Yeah, he's a consultant. Where the other employees are employees. So the assessor employees, the contract employees need to come to work on Monday, the 11th, just like our regular employees. But I would consider personally, I mean, you can ask the other two commissioners, I would consider Marty Bedrock a consultant, rather not a contract employee. And he would be on the same lines as the that lady that sent me the email that wants to come in and do her title searches or whatever.
Which would be by appointment after Memorial Day, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Is there anything else for anyone?
I have something if nobody else does.
Go ahead, Bernadette.
This year on the election, for the election that's going to happen June 2nd, I programmed our voting machines with the help of Microvote and my election board. That saved the county $2,600 that I don't have to pay Microvote for doing the machines. I plan on doing the same thing on the November election for another $2,600 savings. And I performed our own public test, which usually we pay Microvote $700 to come down to do. It cost me $120 to do the test deck. Microvote made the test deck, and me and the election board performed the public test. And with that savings, since we are going to vote centers, which I have not let the word out yet, simply because I don't want confusion from this election and the primary to November's election, we need to upgrade our printers. Not only are we going to need the e-poll books, of course, but our printers for our voting machines is almost 20 years old. And the new printers are about 6 times faster than the machines that we're using now. And since we're going to vote centers and have more voting machines per location, the inspectors are going to find a lot of wasted time waiting for our printers since the ones we have now are so slow. So I'm hoping that between now and November, we can figure out ways that I can save more money that we can put into printers, at least one for each vote center, which is 7. And if their printers run about $1,400 a piece. So just something to think about. I don't need them today. I don't need them next month, but something to think about, that the need is going to arise and it's going to be there soon.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Bernadette. Is there any other business or comments, questions?
They can.
What was that?
Sorry, nothing.
Okay. If there ain't nothing else, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Any question for that? May 11th vote down here.